It me reporting whatever the fuck I want.
You don't own me.
Whatever.
You should be scared.
It's tea time. Hello and welcome to Mad Hatter News. I am Sarah, your host, and I'm an ex-reporter in Washington, D.C. turned Chicago-based comedian. What I do on Mad Hatter News is I talk about all of the news that has been going down on my main TikTok channel and the feedback that I've been getting from my followers and the public. Tea Time with Sarah is my main page, and my backup page is Boiling Over. I mostly talk about just random things on my backup page, shitpost, if you will, and cute news stories. But on my main page, I talk about some serious shit. So let's get into the serious shit that we were talking about a couple days ago that just came out. There was a man named Camilo, what's his last name? Camilo Hurtado Campos, and he is out of Franklin, Tennessee. This is right outside of Nashville. He left his phone at a restaurant, and a server found it, and she went through the phone to try to find who to give it back to. And while she was looking through the phone, she found a bunch of CP on it. CP, child. Hopefully you know what that means. I don't know what the censorship is like on all of these platforms that Mad Hatter News is going on. So I'm just going to say child and hope that you know what I'm talking about. So she turned it over to the police. And when the police looked through it and did some investigation, they found out that Camilo was actually a self-proclaimed soccer coach. And what he was doing is it was him in these pictures and videos on his phone. And he was going to community parks and playgrounds and school playgrounds. And he was recruiting children to be a part of a soccer team, quote unquote, that he had put together. And when he gained their trust and the trust of the parents to leave them alone with the children, he would lure the children to his house for some lemonade or something and then drug them and R-word them. He would rape them. So they found that there were a little over 10 children that he had done this to. And he's now in jail. I think it's $500,000 bond. And hopefully the fellow jailbirds will offer some swift justice to him. And that's all we can say about that. Sip that tea. It is crazy what people will do to get close to your children, to gain the trust of the parents. I'm sure a lot of these parents were just excited that their kid had something to do and was a part of something positive. And look what happens. There are predators just everywhere. Predators are everywhere, and it sucks to be the helicopter parent, but sometimes you really have to be if you're going to take care of your children. And of course, that's no hate to these people these children who were victimized by this. It's just a sad situation overall, but I'm glad that he got caught because that means that it can stop. But it's crazy that there are people out there that do this and that this is just so common. It's just really, really sad. But I want to segue from that topic. Shein, who, if you've been following my page and my podcast, I've been talking about the Shein influencer trip and how I got poisoned by Shein products. And when I had them, Shein actually sent me back some of the product that they had tested in a lab, and there was mercury and lead all in it. And they're like, it's under the legal limit. And it's like, no, there shouldn't be mercury in my product at all. But all of this made me look into fast fashion more. It made me look into other brands more and factories. And I found some pretty horrible things, to be honest, when I was looking into factories and where their fabrics are sourced from and so on. There were a lot of people in the comments saying, like, I only shop fair trade. I only shop fair trade. And that's great, but there was something that I discovered throughout my research is that fair trade isn't actually fair. Also, they like to confuse the public with a fancy wordplay. So fair trade, in one word, fair trade altogether, is actually a part of the world recognized fair trade system that has ethically sourced cotton and so on. But fair trade, separated into two words, fair space trade, actually isn't fair trade, like at all. And they are just putting that on products and thinking we're just going to buy it, which we do because we think we're doing the right thing. It says fair trade on it. Why would it say fair trade certified if it wasn't fair trade certified? Of course, there's got to be some kind of a screening process, right? Well, no. If you say fair space trade, that means absolutely nothing. But fair trade is the right one. So I thought that was very messed up. We are just not privy to the semantics, to be honest. And so we just think that we're doing the right thing. There was also somebody that was like, well, I only shop fair trade in one word. I shop fair trade, right? So I looked into actual fair trade with one word all the way across fair trade. So like the world recognized one. And what I found was that even fair trade certified, the world recognized seal, those farms are using child slaves. Yes. So after the fair trade certified farms have to pay for the certification. And a lot of the times their certifications are so expensive that they don't have the money to actually pay employees proper wages. So they cut down on the amount of employees, but they still have to find people to work the farms. So they take the employees' children and use them as slaves on these farms. Victoria's Secret was actually exposed using a fair trade certified farm in Africa that was using child slaves. And so when I found this out and this girl had commented, I only use fair trade, ethical sources only small mom and pop shops, then I went to her page and I saw that she was wearing pink, which is a Victoria's Secret brand. So I exposed her on my page because I was feeling petty that day. I don't usually do that, but you come for me, I come for you, baby. Anyway, if I'm feeling petty, which is rare, but if I am, you better watch out. So that was just horrible. That was horrible to find that out. A lot of people are saying in the comments, I'm sick of being lied to about literally everything. Same, girl. I am sick of being lied to about everything as well. Now, when we're talking about fair trade food certifications, it's another story as well. So what I found out with fair trade food certification is that only 20% of the product has to be fair trade to be given the fair trade certification seal. I don't know. Last time I checked, 20% is a failing grade. So that was very interesting to find out. Also, they used the example of trail mix. So trail mix, in this article that I was looking at, if all of the nuts in the trail mix are fair trade and 50% of the trail mix is fair trade certified, then that means that the entire product can be fair trade certified if only 50% of the nut weight is fair trade certified. Last I checked, 50%, also a failing grade. I don't understand how these products can be listed as fair trade certified under that seal, recognized as the world-renowned fair trade certified seal, and only 50% is actually fair trade, or less in some cases. It's crazy. And it all depends on the weight or the ingredients. They're using all of these different rules that they have made up themselves, and they haven't given us the rule book for it. Yet we think that we're over here buying fair trade and that everything's fine and dandy and that we're doing the right thing when that's absolutely not the case. It's wild. It's wild. Somebody in the comments said actually that if this is true, that means that 20% of the fair trade chicken by weight needs to be fair trade chicken and can be labeled fair trade chicken, because any of the chemicals that are added to it, any of the hormones, any of the poor feed that this chicken has been fed throughout its life, that doesn't really weigh that much. So the chicken can still be labeled fair trade certified if 20% of the product is chicken. See these loopholes? We think we're doing the right thing when we absolutely are not. That is insane. But now let's go back to Shein. So Shein actually caught a charge this week from a bunch of artists that got together and brought a class action lawsuit against Shein for stealing their intellectual property, stealing their exact designs, and recreating them under the RICO Act of 1970. Now, the RICO Act was originally made to combat the mafia. So this is kind of a big deal. If this is going to be combating the mafia, why is it being taken for Shein and to be combating Shein? Well, Shein is acting like the mafia from what I've discovered. What happens is, because it's such a big company, they have a secretive algorithm. That's the direct quote that it has in this article. Shein has a secretive algorithm where it seeks out growing fashion trends and produces a small amount of the product to see how it goes in production. If they do get caught by the artist, then they take it off the platform so they don't get sued. But I mean, it's still in production, so they just put it on clearance. So that's why when you go on the Shein website and you don't see any reviews on the product yet, it's already on clearance. That means that they've most likely been caught by the artist and that they're just trying to make money while they can on the product before they have to phase it out. But a lot of the times, these artists, they don't catch Shein ripping off their products. But I did do, so it is too late at that point. They've already put it into production and there's really nothing that they can do about it. But I did make a YouTube video last year called The Rape of Art that I definitely would recommend you checking out on my YouTube page. In that YouTube video, it talks about artists being ripped off by Shein, putting a face to the name of these artists that are being ripped off. It shows images of this. They even rip off, small artisans in Africa, like that sort of thing, indigenous people that have created amazing jewelry that Shein just rips off. It's pretty horrible. And one of my followers is actually a Vogue photographer, and she sent me in her story as well. So there's just a lot going on. But if you want to check out The Rape of Art, that is on my page. But this RICO Act of 1970 is no joke. It is to combat the mafia, and now they are going after Shein. Somebody in the comments was like, oh, do you really think this is going to affect Shein? Maybe not, but it's a start. There's never been a class action lawsuit that I know of against Shein, especially not one that combats the mafia as well. So maybe something will happen. Somebody said in the comments on that video that I am hands down their favorite creator. That's so nice. Just figured I would let all of you know that. That's what people think of me online. There are a lot of graphic designers in my comment section saying that they know tons of people who have been ripped off by Shein. Shein also sells posters and pictures and recreations of paintings and stuff like that you can put on your wall for like $2. It's just the prints of them. So Shein is just ripping off all of these artists that are painting these beautiful canvases and just selling it on their site. Like, how is that even allowed? But now they have a class action lawsuit against them. So that's fabulous, to be honest. Someone's like, wow, mistreating women worldwide. A lot of people are asking where to go to actually get ethically sourced clothes, since the certification for fair trade is not real, apparently. So there are places that you can go. One of my followers put in the comments, there's a website called goodonyou.eco. And if you go to this page, they have made a collective of a lot of different super fair trade, like real fair trade that's not actually labeled fair trade, that's like actually fair trade. And they talk about where they source their cotton, why they source it there. I didn't know that thousands and thousands of gallons of water are used in a cotton field to make one product. And they leave water shortages for the residents around the area, and it's really not ethical even to grow cotton like that. So a lot of these places get their cotton sourced from places that already have monsoon rains, and they are not using like any of the locals' water sources. It's just monsoon rains that are coming down. So I would check out goodonyou.eco. You can find a lot of really great brands on there. When you go to those specific brands' websites, they talk about where they get all of their stuff from. I found out that only 2% of fashion workers in the entire world are paid a livable wage, which is crazy. And all of these fashion brands that are listed on this website do pay their workers fair wages, and that's even in London. There's one brand that's called Birdsong that's based out of London, and all of their workers are from London, and they're paying them a fair wage, which it's a first world country, so they're paying a good amount. If they're paying a fair wage to live in London, they're paying a fair wage. But that does mean that the products are a little bit more expensive. Like a t-shirt will be $40, but we kind of have to change what our perception is of fashion. And I know that's going to take a really long time because fast fashion has made it so easy to just not care, just get your clothes, rip it off from designers and sell it to people. But if we as a collective are a little bit more conscious about what we're buying and what fashion really means, then we can grow as people. First of all, we can also live a more sustainable life and a more caring life of the environment, of the world, and of the people within it. Now on to a more lighter story. There was a woman who found a 3,000-year-old Egyptian goddess figurine on the beach. So it was a stormy night, and she was walking on the beach shore, and she found this statue, and it had been, I'm going to put it on the screen if you're watching me on YouTube, but it is a little bit weathered, as you can see, but she found it, she picked it up, and it was about 17 miles south of Tel Aviv. Now, if you don't know much about geography, Tel Aviv and Egypt are right next to each other. Like, seriously, they share a border, and they have the common water shoreline of the Mediterranean Sea. So this could have easily just come from Egypt and washed ashore in Tel Aviv. I mean, again, they're right next to each other. This 3,000-year-old Egyptian goddess figurine was actually very common in homes. So 3,000 years ago, people would nail them to their walls in their homes, just like a Catholic person would of a saint or Jesus in their own home in modern day. But they would worship the statues or pray in front of the statues for different things, depending on what the goddess represents or what the god represents. So that was just really interesting. It was a really cool find, but unfortunately, the Israeli government made her give them the statue or the figurine. I guess it is against the law to keep antiquities like that. But if it were me, I wouldn't have told anybody, to be honest. I would have just kept it and been like, I'm sorry, this is my great-great-great-grandfather. A pass me down, if you will, from them. So, yes, they were Egyptian. How dare you judge me? Yeah, I definitely would not. I wouldn't have given it back. But that's just me. By the way, I am drinking Whole Life tea. This is blue jasmine chamomile, and if you can see, it is very, very blue. This is actually super light compared to what I usually do. I made a very light blue jasmine tea today, but it is amazing tea. And it is a small business out of Utah. The owner is named Noelle. She has been an herbalist for the past 10 years. She has 4 kids, and she has the most amazing tea. If you go to wholelifetea.com and enter my code TEATIME, you will get 20% off every single order. Now, she has teacups, teapots, all sorts of tea varieties that she puts together herself, obviously. You can look on the back, scan the back code, and see what the health benefits are of each tea. And you can also go to their website and see what each tea is used for, because there are health benefits for it. They each do different things. And it's just all around an amazing company. So I would definitely check that out. Enter my code TEATIME and get 20% off of every order every time. It's really great for gifts, but it's also really great for yourself. You know how when you go and shop for your friend's birthday or Christmas and you see a bunch of things that you like too? This is one of those situations. So get your friend something and also get yourself something. I'm just saying. So another fun story I wanted to talk about today was a planet that was discovered in our galaxy 2 years ago. And it is called the Exoplanet LTT 9779b. And the reason why it's in the news today is because the scientists actually, or astronomers actually, realized that the planet's clouds are made of metal. They're made of metal, and they rain titanium onto this planet. So the fact is that there's so much metal on this planet that it reflects 80% of the light that it receives. So it's just a giant mirror in the sky. It is 5 times the size of Earth, and it is so close to its own sun that it is 3,600 degrees on the surface of this planet. So that's why it was in the news, because astronomers found out that this exists, and they're saying it actually shouldn't exist because of the extremes on the planet. The planet should not be over 3,500 degrees on the surface, otherwise it would burn up, right? But what they're finding is that because the clouds are metal and they're raining titanium, and that it's reflecting 80% of the light, that the planet is not only reflecting this light, but it's so heavy because of the metal clouds that's the reason why the planet isn't blowing away. Apparently it would lose its orbit, blow away, if it didn't have that heavy metal in the atmosphere. So that's really crazy. It also orbits its own sun in a day, whereas we orbit our sun in 365 days. This planet orbits the sun in 1 day. So this is a very fast moving, very heavy, very large, very hot planet, and it's just really interesting. There are people in the comments saying we should call it Metallica instead of LTT 9779b. We should call it Metallica. People are saying this sounds metal. This planet sounds metal as hell. And other people are even saying, I think the billionaires should try to explore it, which that's pretty funny. I condone that. Well, that's it for Mad Hatter News this week. Make sure to hit that bell and subscribe for next week's video. I'm probably going to be posting a little bit more than 1 time a week here pretty soon. So hit that notification bell. Definitely subscribe if you're listening to me on Spotify. Follow me on Spotify. Also follow me on Tea Time with Sarah on TikTok. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye.